Presentation ready while we're waiting here. All right, so I will go ahead and get started here. We'll let people join as we proceed. But thanks for joining here, and I look forward to this. This is the first time we've done this for garage door marketers. I've owned various marketing agencies for a number of years, and this has proven to be a popular format. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes for you. Let me know your feedback if there's things that maybe I don't cover that you would find helpful. Very interested to hear your thoughts on this. And so I will just jump right in. So the plan for the session today is I want to talk first about the new challenges that we are seeing in the market for 2024. And then we're going to do a little exercise, give you some workbooks and things where you can really think about setting clear goals and targets for the year. So we'll talk about that. Talk about realigning KPIs and tracking to achieve outcomes. That's just nerd marketing speak for think about what you're doing, think about what you're measuring, make sure you're tracking to get to those goals. Okay. And then we'll talk about mapping out a plan for accomplishment. We'll talk about not really budget so much, but just what are the various channels that you can use? What are the things you should do? What should you be thinking about as you plan for next year to just set yourself up for huge success in 2024 and beyond? Okay. So you can get kind of the workbook here. Just go to garagemarketers.com/2024 planner. You can download it and take notes. There will be a replay available. So if you just want to kind of follow along now and go back and go through it again, by all means, do whatever you would like. But this planner is here for you to take notes on. It does have some information that I'm not going to go over in the presentation here. So it's a good document to have and just to play around with. So go ahead and download that when you get a chance. So who am I and why should you listen to me? Why should you waste your time here? So as I said, I've been running agencies for well over 10 years. I founded one of the top digital agencies in the Midwest. We've got over 600 five-star reviews, over 10 years, 11 years. I'm getting old now. You can see it in my beard. And we've been doing this a long time. We know what we're doing. We've served thousands of customers. We've just been doing this a long time. And I decided to focus on individual industries and really just become expert in those industries so we can really provide even better service. And one of those is garage door companies. And part of the reason I picked garage door companies is you guys really you are not treated well by Google. And some of that, there are bad players in the market. I'm sure you know this. You probably know who they are. But because of that, Google really cracks down on you guys and makes your life really difficult. And that stinks. It's hard enough to do this, to be successful online, to have your business coming online. And this is important. This is the yellow pages now, so you can't ignore this. And so it's hard enough already. You guys and locksmiths are the two ones that Google likes to beat up on. And so I just wanted to help. There didn't really see a good, dedicated garage door company in the market. I know there's others out there, and that's okay. But that's why I picked garage doors as one of them. We work with dozens of garage door companies. We have a pretty good idea of what goes on in the market, what the challenges are, and what needs to be done to be successful. And we took some of that learning, wrote a book, Online Marketing for Garage Door Companies. So, check it out. It's if you need some help falling asleep, go ahead and read it. It'll help you. And we have garage door company clients. I mean, that's how you learn, right? So before we get started, there is a free bonus. Go to offers.garagedoormarketers.com/get more estimates. There's a couple things for you. Just give us your email so we can send them to you. But you're going to get a marketing checklist. So a lot of the things that we cover here are going to be on this checklist. It's a nice handy thing to have to just check these off one by one, make sure you got them covered. There's a digital copy of the book, so you can download it and read it. I think the coolest part is the industry PPC dashboard. So one of the things that we do is we monitor what's going on in Google Ads in the top 25 markets. So we're taking snapshots 4 times per day. We're recording the ads people are running, the keywords that we see them on, the actual copy of the ads, and we just collect, and even local service ads too. We collect all this data and we have it on a live dashboard where you can see, so you can look what keywords are people running, what ads are they running, who's running ads. And now, granted, it's just the top 25 markets, but those are the big ones. And so when you see what the big dogs are doing, you can take that information and apply it to your own campaigns. So it's awesome. It's up there live. Just go sign up. You get it. It's free. And the last thing is something I'm calling Garage Marketers University. I'm putting together a bunch of trainings and just some basic, here's how you do X, Y, or Z. That's going to be coming out. We were kind of getting towards the end of Q4 2023. That was my plan. It's taking longer than I thought, but we will be launching Garage Marketers University. There will be probably a small cost for it eventually, but if you get in there now and you kind of get in the program now, it will be free for you when we launch it. So right now it's just an email sequence with some trainings, but eventually it's going to be a pretty robust set of things. So check it out. offers.garagemarketers.com/get more estimates. All right. So let's talk about the new challenges that we're seeing that you're going to be dealing with in 2024. Okay, and you should be aware of these. These are pretty important. And the first one is that Google is being increasingly aggressive in verifications and suspensions. We're seeing this a lot. It's super annoying, and you've probably experienced this yourself or know, a peer company who has. And so you have to make sure your information is accurate. Because eventually they'll just choose to pick you out of nowhere and re-verify you. We had that happen to a customer for their GBP. They had to go through everything again. It was ridiculous. And also, don't change it without good reason. So little things like name changes, which is not a little thing, but just minor changes to name, address, it's going to trigger a re-verification, and you got to jump through hoops. So be very cautious about making changes to your GBP right now. Google's on the warpath, so watch out. Number two, Google continues to reduce proximity in maps, and now we're seeing them also start to replace organic map spots with ads. And so if you've been following Google for a length of time, you've seen this, you've seen the writing on the wall. They are constantly pushing out free stuff for paid stuff, and we're really starting to see that happen in maps now too. They're also really, really pushing proximity. So where in the past you could kind of cover a whole city with one GBP, reasonably, a bigger city, that's just not happening anymore. They are really constricting you. You can fight it. You can kind of push those boundaries, but they're making it harder and harder all the time. They're really trying to limit your visibility to a tighter area around your office. And so you've got two choices here. You're probably going to want to look at running additional office locations, and good luck getting a Regis or a UPS store through. It's not going to happen. And you're going to if you're not running ads, you're going to want to start doing that. And if you run them correctly, they'll be profitable for you. So, this is part of the things you think about when you're planning is you're going to want to start setting budget aside for this. It's not going away. And you're eventually going to have to be running ads. It's just the way it is now for acquiring customers online. Some other things. So you may have seen some impacts to your reviews. So Google is aggressively sweeping out fake reviews and is eliminating real ones along with them. It kind of feels like Yelp. And we've seen a couple of these sweeps. It seems like it's been stable for a couple of weeks now. I don't know how often they're going to do this, but we've seen it, and they can do it at any time. They're cracking down on fake reviews. They're cracking down on old accounts. They're deleting old accounts that haven't been active for a while. So they're really trying to clean things up. The problem is when they do that, they also get rid of things that are accurate and real. So what this really points to is reviews are critical for your maps rankings. And if you don't have a system to consistently get them, you must get that in place. It is so important. If you hear nothing else I say today, get more reviews. It covers up a lot of problems. It really helps your lead gen. Get more reviews. Okay. Last thing I'll talk about new challenges is AI. So you hear a lot about AI. It's super overhyped for sure. But it does some cool stuff, but we're way at the beginning of this. It's having a huge impact on the industry, certainly on the marketing industry, but really all industries. What I would say is it's the wild, wild west right now. I would avoid most of it unless you know what you're doing. I'm pretty up to date on this stuff, and I barely have any idea what's going on. I look at a tool, and a month later, it's completely different. So be very cautious. Don't just get a tool because they say it's AI. There's a lot of bad versions of it out there. Avoid it unless you really know what you're doing. Okay. So now I want to talk a little bit more about verification, because this has been a huge issue, and really especially so for garage door companies, more so than some of our legacy agency customers that don't have to deal with all the hoops that you guys have to jump through. So I want to talk a little bit about that and give you some tips. As far as the Google business profile goes, what we've seen in just our constant support tickets and battling it out with Google trying to understand things, as far as a service area business, so if you're not showing your address, what Google is going to do is they're going to rank the address that you use to register it for the service area business. So for an example, say you live in Dayton, Ohio, but you want to target Columbus, Ohio, which is an hour away, roughly, something like that. Google will use the Dayton as the center of your GBP for ranking purposes. So be aware of that if you're going to hide your address or if you're working out of a residence. They're really cracking down on that stuff. And they don't want to show residences as places of business. And so the window of being able to get away with that is closing very rapidly. And so you may have to go service area business, but you want to think about where you do business is in relation to where you might list it. It may create problems for you going about that route. And of course, if you change it, it's going to trigger verification. So, I don't have good news on this one. It's other than Google is notoriously awful to deal with. Some other things about GBP, as I mentioned briefly before, Google will suspend or re-verify you over name and address changes. So if you've put things like keyword stuffing in, I don't see much of that anymore, but every now and then I still see it. Get that stuff out of there. They're going to re-verify you, but it's better than them suspending you and you have to tell them, hey, whoops, I didn't mean to have that in there. But what we're seeing is it will take at least 2 weeks to fix. And that's assuming they actually get back to you in a timely manner, which they often don't. So avoid it if at all possible. If things are pretty stable for you, don't mess with the sleeping dog. Okay. Now, if you're going to create a new Google business profile, you're really expecting video verification at this point. And as I just mentioned, they're really pushing back on homes locations. So if you don't have an office or building, better to try with a service area business. There are drawbacks to that. As I mentioned, it's going to be based on the address that you register it with, and you don't get that same proximity boost. And so if you're trying to target a specific area of the city, you really want an office there. It's harder and harder to get there if you don't have that proximity boost. Okay. Now, what we have found is you can avoid video verification by going through support, I'm told by my team, but you will need to supply a bunch of different types of verification, business license, the state tax collector info, photos of branded equipment, work trucks, storefronts, street sign. I mean, all this stuff. They're crazy. One tip from the head of my SEO team says it's very helpful if you make sure that you are listed on the BBB website with the address in question before starting this. That is one of the third-party things that Google uses to verify. So if you know you're going to do a new GBP, get on the BBB first. It's going to make your job a little bit easier. But this isn't the paid version. Just make sure you show up on the site when they search, that they use that to check. So you don't have to pay for it, but be on there. And we found this can take days, weeks, or even months. Sometimes they won't answer, and you just got to keep chasing them. It's a real pain. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about Google Ads and LSA. It's similar challenges I have to deal with there. The focus there is you must have very detailed and accurate documentation. It has to be exactly correct. They're very fastidious about this. And I want to attribute it to laziness, where they're just like, hey, that's slightly wrong, on to the next, right? It's really rep driven, the kind of results you get. It's the luck of the draw. You get a good, thoughtful, nice rep, they'll push you through. You get one who's just not, they'll block you or not respond. It's ridiculous. Okay, so be as detailed and as accurate as possible, especially related to garage door services. Some of you have kind of multiple lines of business, but garage door services, as you know, is what they target. So be accurate, be clear, be comprehensive. Make sure your copies are clear. If they ask you for something, give them exactly what they ask you for, even if it seems stupid. And we've seen stupid requests. Not overly, not unreasonable things. Just, why would they ask for this? Okay, whatever, give it to them. That's what they ask for, and it's their platform, so you kind of have to follow their rules. And then you're going to want to have very detailed images. They're very image driven. So you can go through this list, just photos of the location, photos of your vehicles, photos of staff, which includes you. If you're on the job, take a picture of you doing the job, showing the work. They're looking for proof that you are who you say you are. Okay. And that might be annoying. It is annoying, but that's what you got to deal with in garage doors because that's what Google does. And again, clear images. I can't tell you how many times we've seen things pushed back because the image wasn't clear enough. You could read it, but it wasn't clear enough for them. So reduce the friction. Don't give them any excuses, and you will get through the process. Now, a lot of people have asked us if we could help them with that. We didn't have a service for it, but I decided to make one because we just get asked for this so much. And so we now have it. It's our managed verification process, and we will assist you with the process for your business. And this is how it works. So you sign up for the service, accept our terms and conditions. It's pretty simple. And then right away, you'll schedule your first Zoom call with our team. It'll be with Josh. And we will assess your situation. We're going to want to see the documentation you've done so far. We'll review what's been done so far, what step you're at, and we will guide you on the correct next steps. Josh might need access to your ad account so we can submit things on your behalf. And we'll settle all that on the Zoom calls. Well, whatever we need, we'll help you through it. The process can take a few weeks. Sometimes it stretches out longer. You can expect anywhere from 2 to 4 Zoom calls with our team over that period as we get you through the process. And there's a one-time cost of $9.95 for us to do the service for you. Now, if we can't help you get fully verified within 8 weeks, we'll refund you the cost. So we're guaranteeing results or give you your money back. Or another option, once you're successfully verified, if you choose to work with us as a marketing partner, and a lot of people who are waiting like, hey, we'd love to sign up with you, but we're not verified and we don't know how long it will take. And so if you're one of those people and you choose to work with us, we will credit that $9.95 back to your first month of service with us. So that's the service. If you're interested in it, go to garagedoormarketers.com/verification and we'll help you with the process. So there it is. All right, let's keep going. So I want to talk about setting clear goals. Okay, and we have a little festive Christmas picture here. That's what time we are. I'm thinking about it for my business. I'm sure you're thinking about it for your business. That's why you're here or why you're watching this presentation. And you're thinking about the new year. And the comment from Brian Tracy here, success is goals, all is commentary. Not a big fan of goofy sayings like that, but there's some truth to it. If you're not planning out where you're going, it's going to be hard to get there. And it's kind of like the picture of you got a boat here. It's kind of calm. It's not going anywhere. And so, with no goals, you're kind of like a ship adrift with no wind. But if you have clear goals, it's kind of like wind in your sails. It just helps you get there. There's no denying it. You see it's true over and over and over again. Okay, so how do we set clear goals? And I would say if you're going to have a plan and track it, you've got to make it measurable. And so you want to think about things like, right now, what's your average monthly revenue? How many jobs are you running per month? And just other key metrics. What's your average sale? Maybe what's your average lifetime value of your customer? What's your conversion rate of estimates to jobs? How many crews or trucks are you running out there? You want to think about all those things and just have clear understanding of what your metrics are. And then you also want to plan ahead even longer term. So when I'm thinking about 2024, I'm also thinking about 2025 because I know where I want to be. I know what my objectives are. And so I really need to set a clear plan for how to get there. Okay. So again, where do you want 24? When we're having this call next year, where do you want to look back and say, yeah, I hit that goal of revenue? And what do you want that goal to be in 2025? And it helps to keep in mind why you're doing this. I know why I'm in business. I know why I get up and work hard to do it. And you have those reasons too. And it's taking care of your family. It's making more money, whatever it is. There's a reason you do this. It helps to keep that in mind. So I have a little bit of a calculator here for you, something similar to what I use. And it's, you can get it at garagemarketers.com/2024 worksheet. And it's going to let you fill in the cell. So fill in your revenue goal. It's going to tell you what your revenue target is. And then put in your average project price. So what's your average job? And consider repairs and installs. And you don't need to break it down at this point, just your average ticket, whatever terminology you use internally. Throw that average in there just to give you a rough idea. And then what's your average conversion rate from a call or a lead to a book job? Throw that in there, and it's going to tell you the number of leads you're going to need per month to hit that revenue target on average. And if you know what your average cost per generated lead is, you're going to know what your marketing budget has to be at least. So you know what you're going to have to spend on average to generate the number of leads you're going to need to hit your monthly revenue target. That's the first stage of the planning, is just a basic back of the envelope calculation. What do I need to do to hit these numbers? And this worksheet will help you do that. Okay. So take a moment to think about that. And again, I'm not doing this like a workshop where we're going to all write this down and do it together. Just if you can, if you want. But I don't want to, it always feels weird. Like, all right, I'm gonna wait for you guys to, pencils down. I'm not doing that. Just think about it. Take some time in planning this later. Use these tools or not, but just think about these things. So think about how you did this year. What's your goal for 2024? And how many leads are you going to need monthly to get there? And if you don't know those numbers, I would look back a couple months and start figuring those numbers out, just as a rough idea, so you can make some plans going forward. And on the second page of that worksheet, it lets you get into a little bit more detail. So you take that same projected revenue and then pick a marketing budget. And we recommend 10%. So there's all sorts of recommendations out there, like the Small Business Association, or whatever it is, administration, will tell you to spend 2 to 3% of your revenue on marketing. That's ridiculous. Only a government bureaucrat would think that's an appropriate number to spend on marketing. That's stupid, right? Better estimate on the low end is 8%. We like to use 10%. If you really want to be aggressive, 15 to 20%, but your margins aren't necessarily high enough to support that in the first place. So a good, reasonable number to start with, I think, if you're growth oriented, is 10%. So take your annual projected revenue, pick 10%. That's going to tell you your average monthly budget. That covers everything. That covers agency fees, PPC fees. If you're doing the mailers, if you're doing TV, whatever forms of advertising you're doing, it's all in that budget. And you can start planning it out by month. You can break it down by, digital online marketing, offline marketing like TV and radio or whatever, repeat business, however you incent that. And you can divide it by month. This spreadsheet just breaks it up evenly by month, but you can play with these percentages. If you're a little bit seasonal, maybe you want to spend more in summer, maybe you want to spend more in winter, you can change these numbers around to kind of get to the breakdowns you want. And again, it's just a useful tool. It's good to be thinking about it. It's good to have these budgets in place ahead of time. If you know when you're slower, plan to spend more during those times so that you aren't slower and you don't have idle trucks, right? So it's a very helpful worksheet. I highly recommend taking the time to, again, think through these numbers, think through these things. I'm doing this now for my businesses. I know what my objectives are for the various businesses that I run for next year. I know what my lead costs are. I know what my historical performance is. I know when I'm growing. I know when it's sideways. I know when it's churning. And I'm planning right now accordingly to cover all those things, and planning to have my lead generation in place so that I can have maybe less variability in 2024 than I did in 2023. So I think it's a great exercise. Highly, highly recommend it. Okay. So let's pivot now and let's talk a little bit about your strategy. And this is a great slide that really summarizes for online marketing, not offline, just online, what are the kind of buckets that you have to focus on to get results. Drinking my coffee here. So there's really 3 phases here you can consider. There's 1, driving leads. And then 2 is maximizing the conversion of those leads into jobs. And then 3rd, it's kind of making it a circle and optimizing those results, right? So first you learn how to drive leads, then you learn how to convert them better. And now you've got this data. How can I get better results? How can I reduce my cost per lead? What's my return on investment? Should I invest more? Is my PPC return on investment strong? Can I invest more? Have I maxed out the area I'm at? Do I need to open another location? So it's this ongoing process of driving leads through organic, through paid search, through your database of existing customers, and all the way through to your website. How can I make my website convert better? How can I improve my reputation online? It's reviews. It's huge, right? Do I have any automations in place? Am I following up automatically via email and text message? Am I doing these things? These things help conversion. If you're on this webinar, you probably got some of our automations to encourage you to show up. And there's a lot of you on the call, so I know they work. And then optimizing results. What's your total spend? Can you get more leads from that spend? And how can you lower your cost per lead? Maybe we need to invest more in SEO. We need more maps calls because that's going to dilute our overall cost per lead, because PPC calls, there's kind of a floor. But the more maps calls you get, the lower your average cost per lead is. So these are the kind of things that you want to think about. Okay. So as you consider what you're doing online, Where do you need to focus the most? Where are you strong? Where's your business coming from now? A lot of people tell me, man, I have great referral business. I've got a lot of repeat business. I got a lot of feeder business from partner companies or peers, but I'm really not that strong online. Great. Be aware of where your weaknesses are, and that's where you want to focus. I mean, you don't really need to focus on what you're doing well on. That's working. You want to focus on where maybe you're a little bit weak. And so when you think about your company, there are a ton of different places where your leads can come from. We mentioned referrals, and those are important. Those are great. And repeat business. But you've got all these things. You get emails about them all the time. You got SEO, PPC, retargeting, directories. I'm not going to read through all this stuff. There's a ton of different places that you can get leads from. But you really want to keep in mind, probably the most important thing to focus on first is your website if you haven't. And most of you, and I don't know who's on the call, but many of you or most of you, usually when we talk to you, have pretty good websites as it is. Things can always be improved. We know what works better. But by and large, most people have fairly decent websites at this part. But there are some opportunities for improvement that we do see pretty consistently. And the reason conversion is so important is because it's one of the best ways to lower your cost per lead, really, and increase your ROI. And so just a random scenario here. If you have a 6% conversion rate, which is good, but let's think it's a PPC landing page, so you'd expect better than that. If you have 250 visitors per month at a 6%, that's going to give you 15 calls or leads out of that traffic. And if you only sell 33% of those, you get 5 book jobs, and this average is 4,500. So that's about $22,000 in revenue. Now, if you just tripled your conversion on that page, you will triple your revenue. It literally works just like that. It's a direct line to revenue and profitability. And so measuring your conversion rate, or at least considering it and considering how to improve it, is a very, very, very important practice that is often overlooked. The way that we address it is we try to build it in from the start. So it's kind of already there and you don't have to think about it, but you can always do better. You can always do more. And these are things, if you're a customer, we test. We might roll out a new landing page for you for your PPC and see if it converts better, right? Like we want to see, are we getting a better conversion rate versus A versus B? Split testing, things like that. But how do you optimize for it? What are some things you can do? I'm going to give you just some simple things you can do. Maybe you have them, maybe you haven't thought about it, but these are some things that we have seen can matter. So you want to speak to your target avatar. What we see a lot in websites is they're just kind of boring. They're kind of safe language. They're just, everything's so PC and neutral now, and I don't want to offend anybody. It's just corporate dork speak. No, it just, people just gloss over it. They don't care. So think about who your customers are and just talk to them. Just talk how you are, be who you are. No one's fooled by a fake website. In fact, the more real and authentic you are, the more people trust you. They don't care how you look. They don't really, none of that stuff matters. They would just want to know who you are. I'm amazed at, like, I'm just a dude that does marketing. I'm amazed at how many people we talk to that have watched all my stuff. I'm surprised people watch what I say, but I know why. It's because people just want to hear what people think to see if you're credible or reputable or not. Everybody makes promises all day long. Everybody, can say whatever they want, but you don't really get to know somebody unless you can see them. So put yourself on your website, put a picture of you, put a picture of your team, put a video of yourself. I very rarely see that on client sites, and even our own customers don't always want to do it, but I recommend it. It makes a huge difference. People want to know they're dealing with a real person. They want to know, now you might not be answering the phone, but they want to know who you are. They want to know who the owner is. It matters. Use video, use multimedia, make it a dynamic page. It kind of captures people. Like you have a little video running in the background. I'll even get caught doing it. I just kind of watch what goes on in the background. It's ridiculous, but it works. Leverage social proof, reviews. They're so important. Any awards that you have, anything like that, customers, testimonials, these projects that you've done, actual pictures of before and afters, these are all huge. They make a big difference. Okay. And obviously get the basics in order, make your phone number easy to find, make sure there's a form that people can use, add chat. Chat is really important now. Not everybody does it, but I'm one of those people. I don't want to call you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to fill out a form because a lot of times I fill out a form and no one ever gets back to me. I got pest removal. I got like pest. We had like a couple. I saw my wife saw a mouse or something. Like, okay, fine. I'll hire the pest people. They put all this nonsense around my house. They block everything up. And I need them to come back and do something. I've submitted a form like 3 times. No one's ever called me. Do you know how many times? And this is I can think of 5 different service companies. We just moved a couple years ago. I've had to hire a bunch of new different service companies. I can think of 4 or 5 off the top of my head that I fill out a form. I never heard back from them. It blows my mind. I cannot believe it. And so some customers will not fill out forms because there are so many companies that just don't answer them. It's insane. So give them different paths to contact you. And I'm a chat guy. If I think there's a live chat there, I'll try to talk to you. Your mileage may vary. Some people are phone people. If I'm annoyed enough at you not answering the forms, I'll call you. But give people their options and you'll see more people engage with you. When they're shopping the way they want. If they're looking at 4 companies and one lets them chat and all the reviews are comparable, they'll go with the chat company. It's stupid, but that's how people shop. And you probably shop that way too. I do. So, it's these little things that matter that no one thinks about that actually make a huge difference. Clear calls to action, special offers and coupons, those work to some degree, but like that, I would say check your market. If people are offering like install or like repair coupons, you should offer repair coupons. If you see the people are running ads in your market aren't offering coupons, you might, or you might not. You might not need to. So just be aware of what your competitors are doing and just kind of keep an eye on that as far as special offers and coupons. Don't give away margin for no reason. But if you think it'll drive conversion, test it. Try giving a coupon, see if your conversion rate goes up, right? Like I said, live chat, mobile optimized, obviously at this point. Let people book online. We don't see a lot of people doing that. We do, but I mean, for garage comes, haven't seen a lot of that. Something to consider. Site speed matters to a point. Don't let your site take 15 seconds to load, but if it takes 4 or 5, people aren't that crazy. That might change. We might get TikTok. We might have to get better site speed because people are on TikTok all day, but you know what I mean? Have it reasonably fast. Don't let the website nerds go crazy on you and think site speed makes it. It doesn't, but it's important, but it's not that important. And let people text you. Let people, make yourself accessible to customers. To me, it's weird. I don't want people texting me. That like my wife should text me and my kids maybe when I give them phones eventually, maybe never. But I don't want to text my customers. So it's weird, but that's how people are now. They want to text. So okay, give them a way to do that somehow. All right. And so here's an example. Just this person, you can get a quote. There's a form. You can call them. It's a click to call. Whatever they want to do. You can't see the chat here, but give them all the options. They'll call you. And as I said, be real and authentic. So these guys, this is not normal copy. Hey, we're not superheroes or rocket scientists. That's fantastic. Right? Right there, you're dealing with a real person who's not trying to, trick you or be slick marketing speak. They're just keeping it real. It's a breath of fresh air these days. Try to keep it real. Don't be weird about it, but keep it real. These are all fine lines. I don't always have the answers. This is just what I see works. And as I said, leverage video, multimedia. Having before and afters is really, really important, especially in like garage. I mean, repair, like whatever. Great. I know what my garage would look like when it's not broken. But they want to see you do good work. They want to see just the quality of work that you do, but especially for installs for new garage doors, before and afters make a huge difference. They're thinking about what they have. They maybe want a higher end improvement. Show it to them. It matters. Social proof. Get your reviews showing. People read this stuff. It matters. Get the fundamentals right. Just try to answer people's questions before they ask them, and it'll go a long way. Tell them about yourself. Let them know about you. I talked about live chat. We have it. Is your website mobile friendly? Should be. I mean, we started talking about this like 10 years ago or something. I don't know how long it's been, but these days, almost every site should be mobile friendly. If it's not, got to fix it. It'll kill you. I'm assuming generally most garage or company owners I talk to are relatively technically savvy about this stuff. So I imagine most of your sites are mobile friendly. Some things to think about if it's optimized for conversion. This is in the workbook or the planner, whatever I call it. go through a list here. So again, do you have the phone number, authentic images, calls to action, things to think about? Just go through these, download the planner, work through it. It's there. All right, takeaways. What have you learned so far? Anything you want to share? Drop a line in the chat. I'm going to pause for a second, look in the chat here, see if there's anything that here. What's the best way to get reviews? Is there a tool or platform available that you would recommend? There are a lot of them. I would say the best one, I think Google lets you come up with a review link. The most valuable reviews are Google reviews, because they go directly to your maps ranking. They help you in the LSAs. They will show up in your ads if you set it up right. So you really want to focus on Google reviews. But most people have Google accounts at this point. Some don't. So you want to give them the option to do Facebook, maybe Angie, Yelp. Talk about Yelp a little bit later. We certainly, for our customers, we have platforms that we use that enable those things, but there's 1,000 of them. Bright Local has it. Bright Local is a good tool broadly for local SEO. So there's lots. If you have questions, just respond to one of the 8 million emails I send, and I'll send you some links to check out. Let me check one more. All right, got it. All right. So like I said, if you have questions, takeaways, things, drop them in the chat. Jason will respond, or I will take a break and answer myself. So I'm going to chug right along. So let's talk a little bit about organic SEO. So does your website come up in search? Now, we all know that Google just keeps making this worse and worse and worse. They keep taking real estate away. Talked about this earlier. They're going to keep doing it. Now they've got generative AI, which you may or may not have seen yet. I know I have it. And so now they're trying to get you away from search results entirely to just, here, take our summary of what it says and go with that. It's awful. And I'm sure they'll start showing ads in generative AI sooner than later. So what do? Well, people still avoid the ads and they go to the organic. I am one of those people. I don't click on ads because I'm pretty sure if I click on an ad, I'm going to get retargeted, and I'm annoyed enough already with all the retargeting I get. So I figure I'm just going to skip the ads and maybe I won't get retargeted. But of course, I know if I click on their website, if they set it up right, I'll be retargeted anyway, but whatever. Not so many people skip maps, but I look at maps, but then I look at maps and then I look at organic next to see how they're doing organically. So people still do that, but as you'll see, it's not as big a percent of leads as it used to be. So we track all the data. This is a snapshot of leads that our customers have had, a segment of our customers, garage door customers. And what we see here is 8%, only 8% of the leads came from SEO. Now, 8% it matters. I would not turn away 8% of my leads. I want every single one of them, please. Like, let's go, bring it in. So it matters, but it is not the primary focus. And we hear a lot of people saying they're very worried about their organic results. I'm not. This is like worrying about your Bing ads. That's what organic has been relegated to. It's important because there are ads and map skippers, but your average customer is not one of those. So get your SEO right, but don't stress about it. It's not the most important thing for your leads. Okay, so it matters, but it matters less. And I would say this is not the same thing I see in all industries. We have I would say the average, another one of our verticals, they see about 22% of their leads from SEO. So you guys are a little bit lower on the SEO, which is interesting. What we see is that for you, it's more maps driven. So the Google Ads share is pretty consistent across the industries that I track. For you, a lot of the organic SEO share goes to maps, which is very interesting to me, but that's how it's working. Okay, so for the SEO, this is just some keywords to consider. You probably already know what your keywords are, but if you don't, you want to optimize your pages around your city. Garage door companies near me is probably the best one. Garage door repair near me. Now you can build out these service pages. What we see a lot, what we often see when we do our marketing audits for potential customers who want to talk to us, we'll look at their organic SEO, and what we will see is that the homepage or the URL is doing all the heavy lifting. So they might be ranking okay for a bunch of things. They're like, page 2, but it's all their homepage. And that if there's one takeaway on SEO, It's don't do that. And it's they're not doing it on purpose, but what's happening there is they don't have enough sub pages built out focused on their services that are optimized for their SEO. You're going to want to have a page. Your repair and installation businesses are different. So you want to have pages that talks about garage door installation, garage door, repair service. So emergency repair. You don't want to overdo it. For example, you could do garage door emergency repair as one that covers your repair because anybody who needs their garage door repaired will maybe consider an emergency. I would. I can't get out. My wife can't get out. That's a problem. So, but you don't have to have emergency repair and a separate repair page. You can combine those into logical pages. Okay, but the main takeaway from SEO, focus on your key services, build out organized pages for your main cities. And so we'll talk about locations in a minute, but if you have one location, your site should be optimized for that location. If you have multiple locations, that can be multiple locations within a city, you're going to want to have locations pages. And most garage companies see have multiple location pages, usually multiple GBPs. I don't see a lot of single location folks. So it can be a little tricky to kind of live talk about SEO, but depending on your situation, you'll optimize slightly differently. If you've got locations in 3 or 4 cities, you want your main pages focused on your brand. So you'll say maybe your homepage will be garage door company near me, your brand. That's your title tag. So I don't want to get in the weeds on SEO here. I know I'm an SEO. That's my background. That's what I like the most. So if I don't check myself, I'll run down every rabbit hole here. There's a lot of good information out there. We'll do a good job for you. That's really all I got to say about SEO. There's a list here. You can find anywhere. I've pretty much gone over it here. One thing I would say is make sure you have unique content. Don't blindly use AI to make a bunch of pages. It's not going to work. There are tests where it works, but they set those tests up carefully. So just be aware of how you do that. Off-page SEO. So that's another one. And this is really about links. Links and a little bit we talk about optimizing your Google business profile, but that's really more for your maps. So the main thing here is build links, build authoritative links, but don't waste your money. There's a lot of sites that sell junk links that don't move the needle anymore. And we've been doing this a long time. We used to have a very healthy and active link practice. We buy and build a ton of links for customers. It doesn't move the needle like it used to. It's important, especially if you're a new entrant. If you have a new website, you're going to need links to kind of get your domain authority up, just to have some basic domain strength. But what we find is you'll build it up over time naturally if you do some things right. But that being said, if all else is equal, the links will win. So every case is different. If you're already strong, build some links. If A1 is moving into your market, maybe you want to build some more links, but it's going to take them time to build up too. So just because they're A1 doesn't mean they're going to win everything automatically, but they do have an authority advantage if they're coming into your market, which can make things harder. As far as actually building links, what I would say, more so than buying links on Forbes, which are expensive, or just silly things like that, focus on local links the best you can. Things like chambers of Congress, chambers of commerce, any suppliers you have, they may not be local, but like the door companies, may see if they can link back to you. They might, maybe they won't, but you know what I'm saying. Any partners that you have, if you're friends with other local business owners, maybe link to each other. Be like, hey, I'll link to your plumbing business on my page. You want to link to my garage door business? So have a local network of business friends. Link to each other. It helps. It does. It's silly, but it's helpful. Citations you probably already know about. Scholarships. Careful with that. There's some shady stuff there. But if you sponsor something for a Cub Scouts or a Little League team or a scholarship at the local school, it's okay to do those things and to have links and to have them link back to you. These are the sorts of links that I think are stronger because you're not trying to do business 1,000 miles away. You're trying to do business nearby, and having those local links can help you. Okay. Just this is a little summary of SEO stuff. I mean, you'll hear publish a lot of content. I say don't publish some content, but publishing content is is not going to get you leads. It's unless you know what you're doing, it's really not going to do very much for you. The biggest thing to focus on is just get your on page optimized for the key services that you do. Try to get those pages right. Make sure you have different pages for your key services. And at that point, I would turn my attention elsewhere and I'd really focus on my maps because that's where over half your leads are coming from. Okay. So in the planner, there's a checklist here for you to go through. Just again, little things to think about. But you can do that by downloading the planner. Okay, I'm gonna stop again, see if there's anything new in the chat. Okay. Question about the graphics. Yep, I see that. So I'm going to scroll back up to that. This is an old graphic. And I would say I want to recheck this because that's not what I'm seeing over the last 2 to 3 years. What this is saying is if you're looking at the people who click organic, so if you're kind of separating out the ads traffic and you're separating out the mass traffic and only looking at the organic, then the vast majority of the clicks are in the top organic spots. So what this is saying is between the maps and the top few organic spots, 71% of clicks. That's true. But most of those are actually going to the maps. So it's a little bit confusing. I'll probably update the slide for next year. Thanks for pointing that out. That is confusing. The click share of this space that it's showing here of the maps and the top 2 spots, that absorbs all the clicks. But you'll see from the leads, a small percent of those actually goes to the organic. So I'll think of a better way to present this for next year. That's a great question. Okay, let me look at Q&A. All right. Same question there. All right, great. We'll keep rolling. So now I want to talk about Google Maps. Okay. And again, as I mentioned, does it matter? We've already established that it does because from our data, and I ask, prospects, people we talk to, does this kind of match what you see? And generally I get a yes. I mean, some people are more heavy on PPC. But on average, for most of our customers and people we talk to, it rings true that about half their leads are coming from maps. To me, that makes a lot of sense because a lot of it is probably repair driven. And what happens when something breaks? You want to find someone who's close to you, who has a good reputation, who you can call right away. And so this is pretty consistent for other home services businesses. I don't have the data on plumbers. I'd have to ask some other agency owners that I know. But I think this is pretty consistent across the board. Maps are a huge driver of leads. So maps matter a ton. So how do you rank in maps? And we could talk all day about this. There's some crazy stuff that we do, which I'm not going to get into here. I'll be doing one of these calls a month, and on these additional calls, I'll pick certain topics and go into the weeds a little bit and give you some more detailed, actionable stuff about things like maps. But for today, that's not what our focus is. But I'll give you a good broad overview here. The way that you rank in maps is number one, get your Google Business Profile right. Fill out everything that you can accurately, put your services, make sure your name's right, don't keyword stuff, add your service areas, any little thing that they give you. It may seem stupid, but it's their platform and they want it there. So give it to them. I don't understand why everything they have is in there, but if I can fill something out there, or my team, I shouldn't say me, I don't do it anymore, but fill it out. Okay. And then get the citations. Citations are links from directories, things like Yelp, City Search, if that's even a thing anymore. I don't even know. Angie, Home Advisor, which is now Angie. But there's 8 million directories. I don't know that anyone ever visits them except for Google crawlers. But what they give you is what we call a NAP link, which stands for name, address, phone. Okay. So citations are NAP links, which are third-party verification that your name, address, and phone is a real thing that corresponds with your business. So your NAP links should match what you have in your Google Business Profile. I'll stop and say we get a question all the time. What about tracking numbers? You have 2 spots for phone numbers. So you can use a tracking number in your Google Business Profile and your name, address, phone number in your second one. That's okay. It doesn't mess with Google. We verified this. We've seen other agency owners verify this. It's okay to do. Okay, so that's number one. do your citations. Number two is local content. So these are things like articles about landmarks, local businesses, local events. It seems silly, but Google is a machine. It's a robot. It's a Terminator. It it's not real. It can't think. So it has to understand your website through the content that's on there. And so the way that you do that is by giving it local content. So if you want Google to know that you're relevant in this area of the map, I'm just randomly pointing in space here, give them some content about that map that ties your business to that place. So for an example, we write a lot of stuff about landmarks and we link them together in certain ways. These are how we can help people expand their maps. But if you sponsor a Little League team, put a piece of content up on your site about that Little League team, maybe get a link back from them, and describe on the map where they play. There you go. Local content that connects your company to a local place. So when someone in that place searches, Google knows that you as a garage door company are relevant to queries in that location. That's the only way they're going to know is by giving them that content. Okay, so that's an example. And third is reviews. And as I said earlier, if you hear nothing else I say today, get more reviews. There are many garage companies with hundreds and hundreds of reviews. And if there's one of those in your area, you got to try to catch them. They have a huge head start, you might not. But if you only have 50 reviews and your competitor has 700, you're bleeding calls to them. And the only way you can do anything about that is just by having a better ground game. When they have 600 and you have 200, it's less of a deal, right? So reviews matter. People don't even read them half the time. They just look at how many there are in the average rating. And if it's all 5 stars, they're going to consider it suspect. But if it's over 4 and it's hundreds of reviews, they're going to say, all right, this is a legit company. I feel safe calling them. So it drives conversion rate from maps impressions to maps calls. Okay. It also is a signal. And the way that the maps works is Google is looking at signals from mobile phones. That's one of the biggest data sources they use. And so when people search for you and they leave you reviews, if your team posts pictures at job sites from a mobile phone, all these things are signals which tells Google where on the map you are relevant as a company. So get those reviews, post those pictures, anything you can do to send local signals, it's going to help you rank in maps. Okay. In the planner, there's a little thing here to go through. Still says Google My Business. Of course, we all know it's Google Business Profile now, but you know what I'm talking about. So let's move right along to paid marketing opportunities. I don't want to be on here all day. I know your time is valuable. So again, going back to our sheet here, or our sample data, 34% of leads are from ads. And this is pretty consistent across our generalist marketing agency dealing with local customers to some of our niche verticals. About a third of leads are coming from ads. So you cannot overlook this. You have got to be spending on ads. It drives leads. It's important. And I know a lot of people have had a hard time with it. It hasn't worked for them, and I get it. But it can be done right, and it should not be overlooked. It's a critical piece of your strategy because, and I'll explain why. It's not just the lead that comes in through Google Ads. That's obviously important, but it's the visibility. Google is now showing these ads in maps. So now you got to start fighting for maps with ads. We already talked about this, but there are ads. I've outed myself as an ads click avoider. I'm going to see your ad, but I'm not going to click on it. I'm going to come in direct. I click conversion attribution people don't like me, don't like searchers like me, because they want to know that I saw that ad, but I didn't. I'm going to come in through the direct. So just running ads brings in leads that aren't attributable to the Google ads. We've seen this time and time again. It's a real effect. So for many reasons, you got to do it, but you got to do it right. Okay. And if you don't do it right, it doesn't work out too well for you. I get it. So you want to be taking advantage of this. Google ads, local service ads, both very important. Angie, I hear positives and negatives. Obviously, the leads are being resold, but if you have extra budget, get some Angie leads. It's not going to hurt you. Yelp is one. I'm not a huge fan of Yelp, even though we're a Yelp partner. I don't like the way they do reviews, but I cannot deny they are a fantastic source of leads for garage door companies in particular. So you should do Yelp. If you're not, we're a Yelp partner. Drop us a line, talk to Jason. We can have Yelp put together basically an analysis for you of what's going on in your market and what what you could spend, what the cost per lead is. Something Google will never give you. Yelp will say, yeah, look, people in your market are spending $70 a lead. So spend $2,000 a month. Here's how many leads you get. And it's more or less borne out to be fairly accurate. So we recommend Yelp, and not because I like them, I don't, but they give us leads for our customers. And so I can't be a hater. And then there's some value in Facebook ads, mostly in retargeting, maybe some high-end install business you can chase with Facebook ads. But these are all important things. So when you're running ads, you have to track your cost per lead, because there's no other way to know if it's profitable for you. And it can be tricky to do that, but it's extremely important to do so. And just here's an example. So you get 50 leads, you convert half of them, that's 25 book jobs, right? And go through the math. You can figure out your return on investment if you know your cost per lead. And if you're working with a marketing agency right now and they're not telling you your cost per lead, make them tell you. They should know. If they don't know, they don't know if what they're doing is working. We track this very carefully because you can't improve people's results if you're not tracking this. Just like you're not going to hit your goals if you don't have goals and you don't set them and measure them. You're not going to get better results for your clients as an agency if you're not tracking these numbers and trying to make them better. So know what your cost per lead is. It's critically important. So why do most pay-per-click campaigns fail? Simple. They're set up improperly, and I would add to this that they listen to Google's recommendations. Don't ever listen to Google. Don't ever take their phone calls. They'll be like, "Hey, I'm your Google Ads rep." No, it's either a third-party contractor or some dork who has no idea what they're talking about, and they give you horrible advice. And they always sound like they're knowledgeable, and they always sound like they know what they're talking about. But I've employed 6-ish PPC people over time. I've asked every single one of them, is this good advice? And they unanimously agree that Google and Facebook, their reps, give awful advice. Don't ever listen to them. Don't ever take their calls. Don't ever do what they say. It's horrible. It's a racket. Don't do it. All they want to do is make you spend more money, and they're not around when you're not getting the results. Stay away from these people. So one, don't ever listen to what they say. Don't accept Google's recommendations in your ad account. Don't do any of that stuff. Okay. Other errors that you control: don't set up one ad group for all your services. So don't throw installation and repair and openers, and don't put that all in one ad. Break it out into individual ad sets. Don't mix groups with keyword groups. Keep things separate. Keep them clean. And have a strong call to action or offer on your landing page. Give them a reason to call. You just paid for that traffic. Give them a phone number to call you. Give them the social proof. Give them pictures of your staff. Give them like a snapshot website of like, hey, here's what you should call us, and we're real people. We look like people you want to do business with. Get that stuff right, because it makes a difference. That's why if you don't do those things, that's why it fails. And if you're not tracking, that's why it fails. You might not have spent enough. If you're testing with $500, it's not going to work. We don't recommend less than 1,000 because the algorithm will just die out on you. It won't ever start. So these are all little things that you just got to know. So here is, again, in the planner, a checklist you can go through. I will check and stop here for any questions if you have anything specific about maps or ads. If you have one, ask it now. I will check with Jason. Okay. Nothing new right now, so I will keep on rolling. So I will talk briefly about social media, and I'm not a big social media guy. Just honestly, it's just not my thing. So am I active on social media? No. Should you be active on social media? Yes. Are my businesses active on social media? Yes, because I hired someone to do it for me on my team because I know it's important. Okay. And it's important for a couple reasons. Are people going to see your Facebook post and call you? No, probably not. But when they find out about you or someone makes a referral, they will check you out. Or if millennials and Zoomers ever buy houses and need their garage doors fixed, they'll probably be on Facebook or whatever weird social platform they're on, and they'll ask their friends for referrals. So it's important to be on there so people can tag you, I guess, and just be active, have reviews, look like a real company so they feel comfortable calling you. That's what it's about on social media. Okay. So a little checklist here. Again, go to the planner, it's there. Next topic, we're getting near the end here, so bear with me, we're almost done. I want to talk a little bit about, are you converting your leads? And I'm not going to use names, but we have customers sometimes who are not answering their phones, and it drives me nuts. When we have the data, we record the calls, so we know you got the phone calls. And they'll say, well, hey, I'm not getting enough leads. And we'll pull up, the tracking, we'll pull up the dashboard, be like, well, no, you are, but you're not answering your phone. And we try to catch them. We try to say, hey, look, we do these monthly calls with our customers. Be like, hey, look, you got to answer your calls, man. Like, you're getting these leads. So answer your phone. Number one, make sure you answer your phone. But presuming that you answer your phone, how do you do a better job of converting them? If you think about your website, and this number's low, but most of your inbound that come to your website don't convert, don't call you, don't, fill out a form. So you want to retarget them. Okay. Web forms, you'll get spam. I mean, I get people trying to sell me window cleaning services, whatever, right? You get that stuff. We all do. So you have a conversion rate problem, but it's not always conversion rate. It's your own actions that you take to convert them. And this is often overlooked, like answering the phone. And here's why. So it just, when you think about this stuff, think about how you are as a consumer, as a shopper, and it'll just ring true. If you think of your customers the same way, a lot of the stuff gets a lot easier. If you don't follow up with leads within 15 minutes, they're going to go cold fast. Do you know why? Because they're calling 3 other companies, and they're going to talk to the person who answers the phone or calls them back right away. And if you take too long, they're already moving down that road. They've got a broken spring. They don't want to hear from you tomorrow. They want to talk to you right now. Do you have availability? Do you have availability today? What do you charge? Okay, hey, I got this other company that called me. Hey, I got 2 companies that both got here today. One's $50 more. I'm going to call the first guy. Well, you're not even in that conversation if you don't get back to them quickly enough. That's number one. Number two, if you're talking more about like installs or like more project-based business, you might give them a quote and you might have to chase them 5 to 7 times before they book. We do. I mean, our services aren't necessarily cheap. They're very reasonably and fairly priced, I might add, but it's not cheap. Don't hire cheap people. You get cheap results. But you have to follow up. They may just be getting prices. They might be kicking the door. They might be more expensive than they thought, but they still want to do it. So you got to follow up with them. Now, who has time to chase every single customer prospect 5 to 7 times? I don't. So I have salespeople. But you got to think about these things and have ways in place that you can do it. So how do you do that? And again, the text message thing, I don't want to text you, but my kids probably will want to do that. It's super weird, but you got to kind of meet your customers where they are. So what do you do about it? One thing you can do is you can leverage marketing automation. And so again, if you're on this webinar or you're watching this replay, you're probably in one of our marketing automation sequences. So we invited you to this webinar, sent you a bunch of emails to make sure you show up or to add it to your calendar, and we'll follow up with you and say, hey, here's the replay. So I didn't have to call you. I set this thing up, and now every single one of you that's here, I was able to kind of keep up with you to make sure that you showed up for this call today. And you want to do something like that for your customers. And there are platforms out there that can do that. We have one that we're working on that we use that's almost ready to go that we'll make available to our customers. But you can build these things. So you can have a web form, and when someone fills out the web form, you can say, hey, thanks for, how many times you filled a web form, you can't even tell if it went through. All the time. It drives me nuts. So when you have a web form, have it send out an email. Be like, hey, thanks, we got your inquiry. We're going to follow up with you, within an hour. If we don't, give us a call, but we're going to get back to you. Thanks for reaching out to us, right? Boom. They got your message and they're going to hear from you. You can do this, you can set it up so you made an estimate, 10 hey, send an estimate to this customer. It can start another sequence. Hey, here's your estimate. Just wondering if you had any questions, give me a call. You can have like a 4 email follow-up sequence after you set that estimate, just kind of bugging them every week to stay top of mind. For reviews, this is a really huge way to get more reviews. Just have a follow-up sequence. This is what we do for our customers. You'll send 2 or 3 emails and a couple text messages. So take your customer's name, email, phone, drop them in the sequence. They'll just say, hey, could you leave us a review? It's really helpful, whatever. So use these things to automate your follow-up with people. Don't be annoying. Don't be, ridiculous. But a lot of people just need reminders, or they might have missed the message the first time. So give them a chance to do it the second time. This makes a huge difference in your ROI of these marketing campaigns. So if you increase your conversion rate, the example here is like from 50% to 80%, that takes you in these example numbers from a 10x ROI, which is great, to a 16x ROI, which is way better. And if you've done this with an automated sequence, you've added 6x to your ROI without doing any more work because it's already done. And so it's just working for you constantly, and it's great. So think about these things and how you might build them. Again, these are things that we look at with our customers. And here's an example. I mean, you can get just ridiculous with these things, but there's all these different flows you can do. And again, think about your business. You might have Service Titan, you might be doing this for you already. That's great. If you can customize it or add things to it, think about ways that you can increase the way that you automatically go through this process, and it'll help you out a ton. Okay. Just responding to a message here. All right. On that note, email marketing, are you doing it? So a couple of basic things here. You want to keep track of your installs and just reach out to them periodically. And the reason for this is they're not going to remember who you are. I mean, I've worked with the same HVAC company for a couple of years. I can't remember who they are, except that they email me every month. And like, oh yeah, those guys. I don't usually read the emails, but I see the name and like, okay, they're not bugging me all the time. I hear from a little bit, but I remember who they are. So when I have a problem, I know who to call because I've worked with them. They do good work. They didn't charge me too much. It was reasonable. So you want to have an email newsletter so that you stay on people's minds. That's really what email is for in a business to consumer sort of market. Okay. You can also use it requesting reviews. Once you've done business with them, you can send them a couple emails. It's a great way to get reviews. Everybody has a ton of reviews. That's how they do it. That plus getting them on site with text, of course. Couple ideas. It says, send email to ask to engage on social media, like your page, but people don't necessarily do that one. But just be creative in how you use it. But basically, it's one of these things. Just do something, keep it simple, keep it easy to manage. Don't overdo it, overthink it. Just have a basic communication cadence, and it pays off over the long run. Okay. And here's a checklist in here, again, in the planner for you to take a look at and work through. And last thing we'll cover is, do you have the tools in place to track your ROI? So this is kind of the last, bring it home, the last thing you want to do. You want to make sure that to the extent that you can, you're tracking your results. You're tracking your cost per lead. You're looking at how many of those jobs you closed, how much money you made from it, gross or net, however you want to track it, and tracking your actual return on investment to know what you should invest more in. It can be challenging to do. It's an important thing to do to the best extent you can. You're probably all doing Google Analytics. You can track your SEO results over time. These things all matter. But just be aware of tracking. The tools are in place now. Make sure that you're using them. And again, here's something from the planner to do. So just a reminder, there's a circle here. There's a process here. Generate leads, improve your conversion, optimize your results, drive more leads, better conversion, more optimization. This is what we do for our customers. You end up reducing your cost per acquisition and increasing your lead flow, which helps you grow, helps you be more profitable. That's what it's all about. So as you're considering your plan, what you want to find out as you do this over a couple of years is that, hey, look, my cost per lead went down, even though it's more competitive in the market. What does that tell you? It tells you you've got better systems in place. You've improved your SEO. So now you get more SEO leads, right? Your PPC costs may have gone up, but you're getting more leads from maps. And so your average cost per lead goes down. You know these things because you're tracking them. Okay. So if you have any questions now, drop them in the comments. I'm reaching the end here. So, as always, you can reach out to our team. But as your takeaway from this is just think about what are your top action items that you're going to do. Make a plan, maybe understand your metrics, get a basic idea in place of what you want to do for the upcoming year, what you want to focus on. If you don't have a marketing budget, just take your top line revenue, divide it by 10. Can you spend that? If not, start at 5. But make sure you have a budget because you're not going to grow without spending. Like Google has become, at least the Yellow Pages was free, right? You get the book and there you go. Google's not free. It's increasingly pay driven. And so if it's not this year, it's next year. It's increasingly a pay to play environment and people will pay. And so you just kind of have to resign yourself to the fact that you're going to have a line item in your budget for ads, and you got to make sure you do them right. So I think we covered all things here. We talked about the new challenges. We talked about setting goals. We talked about how to kind of measure your stuff, making a plan based on what your weaknesses are, what to focus on, and to set you up to do well in 2024. So if you'd like our help with this, we do offer a free online marketing plan review. And what we do is we look at your market. So we'll get a list of your competitors. We'll do a competitive analysis of how your maps looks against theirs. We'll look at those critical SEO keywords and see how you're ranking. We'll look at the Google Ads competitive environment, look at the reviews, look at all these things. And we just say, hey, look, here's what we see where your weaknesses are. Here's what we recommend. And here's what you should do. And also, if you want to work with us, here's what that looks like. And so if you want to do that, just give us a call. Jason will usually answer if it's not another call, or you can go to garagemarketers.com/apply-now, and you can sign up for a call there too, or respond to an email and we'll send it to Jason. He'll get you scheduled. So that's free. And that plan is designed to be valuable, whether you work with us or not. You have a good idea of what's going on around you, and it will help you make your plan for 2024, knowing what you're up against. And so if for no other reason, take our free plan, talk to us, see what you're facing, and plan for what you're going to do with that. Okay. So thank you for visiting. Looks like most of you stuck around for the whole thing. I appreciate that. I really hope it was valuable. And again, any feedback, anything I didn't cover that you'd want me to cover, any things you'd like to know more about, any hints or tips for improvement, just respond to the emails. Jason will get it to me if I don't see it. But I really love your feedback. And as I plan this for next year, let us know what more you'd like to hear more about. And here's to a successful 2024 for you and your garage door company. And go get them. Hope this was helpful. Thanks so much for joining, and hope to talk to you soon.